to me, it's kind of almost a hero situation. Even though I don't necessarily think I'm not making an opinion about the whole hero situation in Ultimate. I'm just saying, like, when they talked, the hero situation was interesting because when they talked about banning him, they weren't talking about banning him because he would consistently win games or you know, upset top players or become an S tier or something like that. It's just because people thought that in principle he went against kind of the rules of the game. Even though obviously the rules of the game are however the game is programmed, so it's not like he's breaking any rules. However he's programmed is however he's programmed, but kind of the unwritten kind of spirit of the game, like I said, spirit. And I think that's a reasonable thing to feel. A lot of people feel that way. Bayonetta is another thing. Kind of seems like she kind of breaks rules. People feel like that about Jigglypuff in Melee, and I don't think they're completely wrong. However, I think Jigglypuff is the most tame of these that were listed. Well, maybe not the most tame, because Hero is supposed to not be very good. But to me, that's like banning, for example, in Smogon rules. Okay, they ban evasion moves. They ban like double team. Not because double team is like an SS tier move. It's actually still kind of a waste of a move slot. It's just that it's, you know, it's just agreed on by community members that it kind of goes against the principles that they like to see in a game that promotes player knowledge, player skill, player prediction, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not defending Smogon. I'm saying that's, well, Baton Pass. Yeah, we could talk all about Baton Pass. I think that evasion clause is a more straightforward example. In singles, Baton Pass can actually be just straight up broken. The reason why they ban Baton Pass is because you can literally just make one, especially if there's no team preview. I'm not necessarily defending it because I'm not a top Pokemon player or anything like that. I don't take competitive Pokemon super seriously. But I can see the perspective because in singles, because you only have one fucking Pokemon, it's like if you don't make the switch at the very right time, or they get, in some cases, maybe they just get one turn of setup against your check, and it's like, okay, well, I have nothing for this. Okay, since I have nothing for this, and he has a recovery move, he can pretty much set up ad infinitum. I pretty much automatically lose here because I didn't make a prediction that I didn't even know I had to make. Anyway, so I'm not necessarily defending it, but I think the evasion clause example is a little bit more in the vein of what I was trying to get at. Yeah, I know handoffs are RNG, yeah. Believe me, I love Icy's combos. I love seeing, you see some crazy shit out of even the top wobblers nowadays. Obviously, they wobble when they're trying to, really win, but sometimes they still pull off sick handoff combos or whatever near the edge. And, of course, Icy's still take a lot of skill to play and just in neutral in general, obviously in the game, getting those openings, but... Well, it's not, that's what I'm saying. The argument against wobbling isn't how hard it is to get the grab. No one's arguing that it's insanely easy to get the grab. Yeah, we know the conditions to get the grab with Nana next to you in time to set up the pummel, etc. are difficult. It's that the idea of wobbling breaks certain fundamental rules of the game, of Smash. Because in Smash, you're always, even when you're getting hit, you're always able to influence which way you go. If you hit the ground, you can tech. The the defensive counterplay in Melee is just so expansive. In Smash in general, but especially in Melee, it's just huge, right? It's not as simple as DI away, DI in, no DI. You know, it's like there's a lot of nuance to it. So for people who oppose wobbling in principle, there's really not a good argument against them, because what they're saying kind of is sort of, you can argue that things like ices being bad is a balancing factor. You go, okay, well, ices suck otherwise, so they need wobbling. Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, that's really the only, that's where the argument always goes, because no one can really counter the fact that wobbling is completely non-interactive. There's literally nothing that you can do. That's the point of wobbling. That's exactly that's. You know, it's like, and if you oppose that in principle, then you know at least you're sticking to your principles. You're not, you know, you can disagree about that principle and how much you want to, you know, emphasize it maybe, but. Probably should not have grabbed the forest, yeah. Well, okay. I'm not... It's like... Maybe that's true that people whine, but I mean... I'm not suggesting that, you know, it's a good idea to become a professional smasher, but I would say if you are a professional smasher, you should probably give a shit about things like that. So I can understand why they, you know, debate about things like that or whatever. You know, it's like in speedrunning. You know, we all kind of, yeah, it's much smaller, but we, you know, was it just whining when people, that's what people would, in Harvest Moon speedruns, when we had the conversation about what do we do with emulator runs. You save so much time on loading, and, you know, there's other, you know, potential for cheating and stuff too. You know, we want to hide all emulator times by default, just so, you know, just to encourage, kind of implicitly encourage people to eventually run on console. Not that you can't run on emulator, but just because, right? It does pose certain advantages, right? What am I doing? Yeah, everybody who disagreed with that said, "Oh, you're just fucking whining. You're hating because, you know, people are beating your times with emulator." Oh, well, I mean, no, we want to take this seriously, so, you know, you have to set rules, you know, and there's... No, dude. At least I caught myself. Okay, losing a bunch of time. Losing probably, I don't know, 10 seconds. If that makes sense. I'm not like... No, banning instant text totally matters. I think that's definitely a thing to whine about, especially if you play fucking Pokemon Red. I never thought that was super trivial, if that's what you're saying. Anyway, I'm not necessarily. Yeah. I think that's 4. What? How am I losing this much time, dude? Well, no, that's about right, yeah. I'm not surprised about 12 seconds in. Wow, that's fucking stupid. Wait, and this is Friday, right? So this is day 3, so hello, yeah. Well, I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying that it's unreasonable to whine about ICs and instant text, or are you saying that it's reasonable to whine about both of them? Because I actually think it's reasonable to whine about both of those. Not whine, but just it's like the shit with the national text. It's like, what are you just really gonna defend Game Freak arbitrarily till the cows come home? It's like, you know, I think people have a right to voice their dissatisfaction with it. Maybe there's a line where you call it whining. I'm not really sure what qualifies as whining. All I'm saying is that people use, oh, you're just whining, as kind of a cop-out to not actually address what issues. You know, right or wrong, we're a bunch of grown men who take video games seriously. So, but as long as we're gonna do that, then well, ultimately, instant text wasn't banned, it was just moved to a different category, right? But I understand what you're saying in principle. Right, so that's 4. Damn, this run sucks because of the mistakes I made. So this is the 4th. Do I go? No, I'm actually gonna skip Sunday. They can tend to be, yeah. But Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, so this is good. Sorry, I'm not necessarily, I can't keep up with chat at the moment, but. This is Tuesday, right? There should be at least 3 here. Tuesday the 7th. Well, no, I actually disagree with that. That if you ban whatever's OP, then the next best thing will be OP, right? Because, like I'm saying, for the things that we're talking about, you're not. It's a misnomer. It's a misrepresentation that it's being banned because it's overpowered. That is one reason to ban something, but in the case of wobbling, that's why I was talking about the evasion clause and about hero, because the argument for banning it is not because ICs are an auto win SS tier character with the technique. It's because it kind of, like I said, breaks, quote unquote, breaks certain rules of the game that players, for the most part, think violate principles of the game that they want to promote in competition. So if it doesn't promote competition in what they deem to be a healthy way as players of that game, then, you know, that's a perfectly reasonable reason to ban it. That has nothing to do with something being OP. Wednesday. No, fair enough. And I know the MK ban discussion was, you know, much more intense probably in a lot of ways, much more heated. And wobbling gets heated as well too, but I think that's a very interesting topic for that very reason. Same thing with instant text. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to separate, at least my understanding, from my limited understanding of Pokemon Red speedruns. You know, it forced you. It actually washed a lot of the decision making out of a whole section of the game, and it was just essentially a flat time save from literally just doing something as stupid as, you know, backing out of the bike guy's text with B. Thursday, Friday. Wobbling is, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, it really depends on the level too. All of this in Smash depends on what level of Smash you're talking about as well. You can't deny that you see upsets that you would never ever see without wobbling. Not just without ices, without wobbling specifically. Like the near reverse 3-0 of, actually, did he actually reverse? I can't remember now off the top of my head whether Bananas actually upset Leffen, or did he just almost upset Leffen? I can't remember. There was a summit where he he either reverse 3-0'd him or he almost reverse 3-0'd him, and he just purely wobbled his fucking dick off, like boom. You know, it's like, okay, but I'm not saying that he's good or bad against ices. I'm just saying that's the only. I would not necessarily say he sucks against ices, but okay. So this is Saturday. Oh wait. Okay, good. See, that sucks that I had to check there, but I just couldn't remember if it was Sunday. Yeah, I'm sure maybe he does. Yeah. Yeah, this is actually a pretty bad run. So this should be the last day. This is Saturday, 11th, right? Okay, let me just play this out because this is probably a reset anyway, and I'll Sunday. Surprised they saved time there. $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18. Thing is, things that are with, well, maybe you're not understanding what I'm saying about the spirit of the game. Interactivity. You can't do shit. I'm talking about the punish. I'm not talking about ices. But we don't have, I don't even necessarily want to do this, but whatever. Yeah, shine's dumb, but I'm saying that even when you get shined, you have interactivity. You can get wave shined across the stage. It's not a true infinite, as long as you're not against the wall in Pokemon, because you can smash DI if you go, you know, full retard on both sticks. You can smash DI out of that shit. You can smash DI out of drill. You can smash DI out of any of these things, right? At least you have options available to you, you know. Fuck, I completely forget about the stupid cutscene. Gotta hold start. You have options available to you, whereas as soon as you get grabbed by the ices, as long as they're in that. Oh my god, dude. You can't do anything. Again, not arguing that it's broken, just arguing that it's fundamentally different from other punishes in the game, which you can DI out of, you can tech out of, you can mash out of. Well, the foundation of Smash is interactivity on both sides of the punish, offense and defense. That's what makes the game interesting. That's what the players like to promote in competition. That's the type of skill that they're aiming to promote in competition. That's why it's controversial. I don't even think this is a PB unless I get both days. It's okay. I played like shit this round. Damn it! Yeah, I'm almost positive, especially because I made that last mistake. This is not. No, that's bullshit. There's not any good wobbling setups. I mean, obviously, it takes a good player to set themselves up for wobbles. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm saying fuck everything that happens before the punish. I'm talking about the punish, right? The wobble itself. No. SDI does not save you from wobble. SDI can maybe save you from a wobble setup, but it's not going to save you from the wobble. Once you're in a wobble, you can't escape. Ultimately, I don't care. I'm not trying to make any super hard case. I was just talking about. Why were we talking about ices? We were talking about Brawl and Smash 4, and then we were talking about Meta Knight and Brawl ices, and then you came in and you mentioned Melee ices, and we started talking about bans and whatever. But hopefully grind this some more tomorrow, because this is just kind of sad. This is so... I've gotten 3 runs tonight with at least 1 day of rain. I can't get one with 2. That's all I need, is literally just... all I need. You can sub 28. You can definitely sub... I'm sorry, sub 29. I'll be aiming... well, if I beat Endless, then I'm definitely not going to grind anymore. Probably wouldn't grind even if he beat me. There's really no competition in this game. It's not like anybody's going to... maybe he would care about beating my time, but probably not. I would imagine he would probably... My head. Oh shit, I'm actually ahead. Could have been further ahead actually, but I kind of made a mistake. Well, I at least feel better. I've started playing this a little bit better. Wait, and then I sleep 3, right? And then I go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, improve my execution and just general understanding of this route. So should be able to grind it relatively. Without too much pain. And then that's really all the easy endings taken care of. Then I'll move on to the last 4. Those will take a little bit longer then. 6, 7. See, what I've noticed is whenever it switches between a weather condition from rain to non-rain or non-rain to rain, when you sleep, you get a little bit more lag when sleeping. So you actually don't, if it was like rain, not rain, rain, not rain, rain, not rain, you're actually losing little bits of time every time you sleep because it's switching between the two. But if you went rain, 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 not rain, then you only get the lag for the one transition there. So it's actually kind of annoying because that's like you're likely gonna get some rain during that last week of the rainy season, or that last week in the fall mild season, but you want it to all be consecutive. You don't want it to be every other. Again, and I think 1. Yeah, it's actually really easy. Okay, cool. So PB, so you can probably just barely get sub 30 with 7 days of rain. This is obviously not sub 30 though. So I'm getting close. Getting close. Yeah, I mean this game, I don't know if you've ever played it, but there's 9 endings, and they're all pretty short. They're all like 6 of them are well, at least 5 of them are under an hour. But so it's kind of a unique Harvest Moon game. So that's part of why it's so quick. But wow, you can definitely sub 30. Okay.